I'm a slave to all my desires, and I'm in a mess, 'cause I can't redress. I can't help myself, bad habits. I can't help myself, bad habits. I can't help myself, bad habits. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening. And it's really good to see you tonight. You enjoyed Dunedin? Wasn't it lovely? We could go walking through a windy park, or take a drive along the beach. Stay at home and watch TV. You see, it really doesn't matter much to me. I'm not talking about moving in. I don't want to change your lives, but there's a warm wind blowing those stars around, and it's really good to see you tonight. I won't ask for promises, so you don't have to lie. We both played this game before. Say I love you, say goodbye. I'm not talking about moving in. I don't. Can't you see? There's no one more important to me. Darling, can you please see through me? We were alone. I was singing this song to you. You taught me precious secrets about the truth, withholding nothing. You came right out in front, and I was hiding. Oh, but now it's getting better, and if my words won't come together, just listen to the melody, 'cause my love's in there hiding. I love you in a place where there's no space or time. Gonna love you for my life. You know you're friends of mine. And when my life is over, remember when we were together. We were alone. I was singing this song to you. We were alone, and I was singing this song to you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lynn Jan, once again. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. What a lovely place, Dunedin. I thought I was in Scotland. I did. It's just like Scotland, wasn't it? And having a bit of Scotch inside me. Actually, Roland Storm said I've got a lot of Scotch inside me, mixed with soda and water. I really thought I was in Edinburgh. And I thought I know we've got some Scots people on board today, haven't we? Because you know the definition of a Scotsman, don't you? That's a Yorkshireman with the generosity squeezed out of him. And I know we've got some Scottish people in. I saw them earlier in the kilts and everything. And funny enough, being a bit of Scotch inside me, I had a survey to do before I came away. There was a knock at the door. Lovely young lady stood there. She said, I'm doing a survey. I said, fine. Would you like to answer a few questions? I said, certainly. What's it about? She said, it's a sex survey. I said, it's a what? She said, it's a sex survey. She said, I ask questions and I fill in this form. We build up data and statistics from all over the world. I said, oh, before we start, I said, just out of curiosity, I said, what males come out on top? She said, well, two, really. I said, go on. She said, Red Indians, for one. I said, why would that be? She said, the ruggedness, the strength, the virility. I said, right. I said, secondly, she said, Scotsmen. I said, oh, why is that? She said, their aggression, the rawness, the passion. I said, fine. She said, name? I said, Geronimo McTavish. They've had trouble in Dunedin, you know. They've opened one of these lap dancing clubs. They have. Well, no, I've never been in one myself. Normally, the men are meant to put notes down the top of the girls' stockings. But the Scotsmen have been dropping coins in there, so there's been a few problems. The customs is getting serious now, isn't it? Very, very hard. I've flown into Sydney. Big queue. Got to the front of the queue. The customs officer says, right, over here. I said, yeah, it's you. He said, have you got a criminal record? I said, why? Do you still need one to get in here? Couldn't understand it. It's a big queue, and this young lady from Texas was the first. So she's walking through. He said, right, you, madam. He said, over here. She said, certainly. He said, open that suitcase. She said, certainly. So she's opened up the suitcase. Top of the suitcase, 7 pairs of white brief panties. He said, madam, explain this. God damn, she said, it's simple. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Oh, he said, fair enough. He led her through. Next was this young French lady, little cracker. So she's walked up. He said, madam. She says, monsieur. He said, over here, please. She said, certainly. He said, open that suitcase. So she's opened the suitcase. On top of the suitcase, 5 pairs of black, brief, see-through panties. He said, madam, explain this. She said, monsieur, it is simple. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, ho, 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 ooh la la. He said, fair enough, you let her through. Next was this little old lady from the north of England, from Wigan, 83 years of age. She's traipsing through there. He said, madam? She said, yes, love. He said, over here. She said, right, love. He said, open that suitcase. She said, yes, love. So she's opened the suitcase, and on top of the suitcase, 12 pairs of red flannelette drawers. He said, madam, what's the meaning of this? She said, love, it's simple. January, February, March. Bless. Oh, I laughed so much I nearly got the drinks in. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. How about this lovely ship, eh? Fabulous, isn't it? And I love Peter's line, the eating contest. I've joined it. I call it a frenzy, actually, the eating frenzy. And you know what? It's the same. It's not just this ship. It's the same on all the ships. The last cruise I was on, this woman was complaining. She was complaining vociferously and loudly as well, because we didn't have one of those climbing walls on the you know the walls you can climb up? Well, we didn't have one. The previous ship she'd been on did. So she was complaining. And finished up, I said, madam, give us a break. The only way we get this lot to climb a wall is to write the words buffet at the top of it. It's unbelievable, isn't it? And the staff are good, aren't they? Excellent. I mean, there I was talking to my cabin steward through his interpreter. Because, I mean, they're from everywhere. I mean, 10 months at sea. It's a long time, isn't it? So I got talking to him. I said, you're not married, are you? He said, yeah. I said, you married? He said, yeah. I said, no family. He said, yeah, 10. I said, 10 what? He said, 10 kids. I said, with that, he's proudly pulled out the family picture and showed me. Well, me and the band have fallen about laughing. One of the kids is so different to the rest, it was embarrassing. I've heard the sequel. At the end of the trip, he's got back home, and he's pulled the wife. He said, we've got a problem. She said, what's the problem? He said, I showed the entertainer the family picture, and him and the band fell about laughing. She said, why would they do that? He said, well, they reckon that 5th child of ours has got a completely different father to all the others. She said, it has. He said, who is it? She said, it's you. Well, there was a bank robbery today, north of England, where I'm from. And they used these masks, these clown masks. They all had clown masks. They broke into the bank. They said, right, everybody down on the floor, face downwards. So everybody's jumped on the floor. They've robbed. As they're making the getaway, one of the bandits' mask has fallen off his face. And he looked down. He said to one of the fellas, did you see my face? He said, yeah. So he shot him. So he said to the next fella, did you see my face? He said, no, but the wife did. But I tell you a little bit about myself. It's polite, isn't it? You probably gather from the accents I'm from. Oh, we've got some Welsh people in and all, haven't we? I've heard. I better make them feel at home as well. Can't be too biased. Di and Bronwyn got married, you see. Look you. Is it? And they went on honeymoon. I think they went to North Wales. Yeah, he took her to Bangor. Or it could have been Prestatyn. But they went on honeymoon, and they're in the honeymoon hotel, and they're both very nervous. And they sat down on the end of the bed, you see. And Blodwyn looked into Di's eyes. She said, Di, I've got a confession to make. He said, what would that be, Blodwyn? She said, Di, I must tell you that I'm a virgin. With that, Di's put his clothes on, packed his case, and he's out of the hotel. Back home, back to his mother's. She's opened the door. She said, Di, back? What are you doing back home so soon? You're meant to be on honeymoon. He said, I know, Mother. He said, we checked into the honeymoon hotel. We got upstairs into the bedroom. We sat down on the bed, and Blodwyn said, I've got a confession to make. She said, go on. He said, well, Mother, she told me she was a virgin. The mother said, Di, you did bloody right, boy. If she's not bloody good enough for the boys in the village, she's not bloody good enough for you. Well, I'm from the north of England, I better tell. I'm from a little place in the East Pennines called Goat Hill. It was called Goat Hill until the yuppies moved in and renamed it Angora Heights. It's a lovely spot. And I come from a long line of dead people. Quite an interesting family background, which I'll tell you about. My great-great-grandfather was like a Nostradamus type of person. He could predict things that were going to happen. He always knew exactly what was going to happen. In fact, he knew the exact day that he was going to die. The judge happened to mention it in passing. But I'm a married man, thank you. I'll explain after. I'm a married man, 4 kids. Well, we used to have 4. We hung one as an example. 3 kids, 1 of each. I'm pretty sure about that. 2 boys, 7 and 9. Funny names for kids, but we like them. We have nicknames for them, though. Seek and Destroy. The eldest one, Seek, has now started telling me he wants to be a policeman. The youngest one, Destroy, looks like being his very first customer. Because kids are different now, aren't they? They've lost a lot of the moral values. I mean, I live near Liverpool now. You've all heard of Liverpool, haven't you? Things are rough in Liverpool. Really rough. I had to call and visit a friend of mine in a not a very salubrious area. So I've gone and knocked on the door. Little kid's come through, about 12 years of age. He's got a can of lager in one hand and a big cigar in the other. I said, is your mother in? He said, what do you think? With that, they've surrounded me. They're all the dude, whatever, speaking like they do, you know. I said, it's not going to do you any good, that, you know. He said, what? I said, smoking and drinking. He said, my granddad lived till he was 93. I said, what? Smoking and drinking? He said, no, minding his own bloody business. They're not the same. I was in the supermarket pushing my trolley around. Minding my own business. My pager went off. Beep, 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 beep. This little kid said, mind out, Mum, the old bugger's reversing. You can't teach him. Liverpool's tough, I've got to tell you. If you see a couple holding hands now, they're handcuffed. Oh, it's getting very hard. They started doing the quiz games in the pubs in Liverpool. First question was, who the hell are you looking at? First prize was an alibi for 2 weeks. Fella came out the dock gates, because the docks were the biggest in the world in Liverpool. He came out the dock gates, stuck his tongue out at the guard, and legged it down the road. And the guard was after him. After about 100 yards, he caught him and pinned him against the wall. He said, right, what have you pinched? What have you stolen? The fella said, nothing. I'm just timing you for next Thursday. It's tough. Even the girls, the street girls, the ladies of the night, they're struggling. They're doing offers now. Buy one, get one free. Little Liverpool fella's in bed one night. It's pitch black. Dark as it's pitch black, and he hears this banging downstairs. So he gets up, he runs down the stairs, and he bumps into this fella on the stairs. He said, what are you doing in my house in the middle of the night in the pitch darkness? This fella said, I'm looking for gold and jewelry and money. And the Liverpool lad said, well, put the bloody lights on, we'll both have a look. It's tough, it's really tough. And I was in a club the other night. I mean, this was very embarrassing. I was in a club, and the couple on the next, I was in the restaurant part. The couple on the next table to me were unbelievable. They were running, she was running her fingers through his hair, they were kissing each other, stroking each other, fondling each other, all night long. Then all of a sudden, the fella fell off the chair under the table. So me, friendly to the point of being nosy, I said, excuse me, madam. I said, you probably haven't realized it, but your husband's fallen off the chair and he's under the table. She said, he hasn't, he's just walked through the door. Oh. So I was talking to this fellow at the bar, and he's very brazen about it, very open. And he's speaking a bit like, I said, have you got a head cold? He said, no, it's sinus. No, I said, if it's that, it's sinus. He said, it's sinus. Her husband's a bloody boxer, and he's seen us. And he was still so open about it. He said, there I was, the middle of the afternoon, in the apartment, in the flat. He said, the windows are steamed up, it's all happening. All of a sudden, he said, I heard this running up the stairs, very quickly. He said, I panicked. I said, who would that be? And she said, it could be my husband. He sometimes comes home from work early. He said, quick, where's the back door? She said, I don't have a back door. He said, where would you like one? She said, quick, into the wardrobe. So she's pushed him in the wardrobe, and it's pitch black in the wardrobe, and he's crouched in there. And all of a sudden, a little voice said, it's dark in here, isn't it? So he's looked around, there's a little boy. He said, who are you? The little boy said, if you look through that crack in the mirror, that's my mummy, and that's my daddy just come home from work early. Shall I tell him you're here? The fella said, no, don't do that. Whatever you do. Put his hand in his pocket, pulled out a $20 bill. He said, stick that in your pocket and keep your trap shut. Later that night at the dinner table, the little boy's got the $20 note, holding it up to the light, screwing it up, heading it around. His dad said, hey, what have you got there? He said, $20, Dad. He said, I can see that. Where did you get it? He said, off a fella. He said, what fella? He said, I don't know, it's too dark. He said, he said, you're telling me lies again, aren't you? Here am I bringing you up all these years as a good little Catholic boy, and now you started telling me lies. Right, if you won't tell me, you'll tell somebody else. Confession. So he's got over him by the ears, dragged him all the way down to the church, in the church, up the aisle, all the way to the confession box. He's opened the door, kicked him inside, and closed the door. And the little boy stood there. He said, it's dark in here, isn't it? And a voice from the other side of the grill said, we're not going to start that bloody game again, are we? Thank you. True story. 1, 2, 3, 4. Day after day, I must face a world of strangers where I don't belong. I'm not that strong. It's nice to know there's someone I can turn to who will always care, is always there when there's no getting over that rainbow, when my smallest of dreams won't come true. I can't take all the sadness the world has to give, but I won't. Spider-Man. Not because he's particularly athletic, it's just that they can't get him out of the bath. He's lovely. The wife couldn't be with me on this trip. She hasn't spoken to me for 4 days. Who said you lucky bugger? Who said that then? 4 days. It's silly really, isn't it? All because I wouldn't open the car door for her. I simply panicked and swam to the surface. These silly little arguments you have later in life, eh? What about all the times that I was faithful to her? It's a The wife and I now, we've worked very hard at this. We think we've got the secret, the recipe for married bliss. What we do now is we go out twice a week, full treatment, and nice, expensive restaurants. Some soft lights, sweet music, a couple of bottles of Vino Calypso, a couple of nice smoochy dances. Then we go to one of these discotheque queues, work up a sweat, boogieing all night. Then we check into a 5-star hotel and we make mad, passionate love all night. All night, madam. It's fantastic. Twice a week we do this. She goes Tuesdays, I go Fridays. And it works. Oh dear. People said to me, how did you get into show business? I said, it's a long story. I said, I come from the north of England. I said, I worked in a cotton textile mill. I said, it was hard. I said, I just started rock and roll singing. The dust was getting my throat. I didn't want to be there. I was 2 hours late every single day. Eventually I got the dreaded letter. Be in the office tomorrow morning, 7:30. So there I was, trembling with trepidation. The boss said, right, what is it? You've been 2 hours late every single day. I said, well, it's like this. I said, you know that I got married young. I said, by the time I've given the wife a couple of quid and you don't pay me a lot of money, few bob on the dogs, few bob on the horses, packet of fags, few pints down at the club, game of crib, game of dominoes, there's nothing left. Besides which, the wife started economizing. He said, how do you mean the wife's economizing? I said, she stopped buying toilet tissue. He said, what's that got to do with you being 2 hours late every single day for 2 years? I said, a hell of a lot. The Daily Telegraph doesn't come till 8:30. He said, you got here at 7:30 this morning. I said, I know I did. I got your letter. 2, 3, 4. You've got to laugh, haven't you? Even now, when there's someone else who cares, when there's someone home who's waiting just for me, even now I think about you as I'm climbing up the stairs, and I'm wondering what to do so she won't see that even now, when I know it wasn't right and I found a better life than what we had, even now I wake up crying in the middle of the night, and I can't believe it still can hurt so bad. Even now when I have come so far, I wonder where you are. I wonder why it's still so hard without you. Even now, when I come shining through, I swear I think of you and how I wish you knew. Even now. Even now, though I never hear your name, and this world has changed so much since you've been gone, even now I still remember, and the feeling's still the same, yet this pain inside of me goes on and on. Even now, so hard without you. Even now, when I come shining through, I swear I think of you and how I wish somehow, even now. You didn't know. Thank you very much. And if anybody writes better love songs than Barry Manilow, I've yet to meet him. You agree, ladies? Okay. If you want to clap your hands, and I know some of you do, the other night you wanted to have a go. If you want to clap your hands, now's one. 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3. I told you, baby, how I feel. One word can close this deal. Baby, be my queen of hearts and give me all that love you got. Well, won't you say yes? Don't you say no? Make me feel good, kitty-o. Maybe I'm just wasting my time. I can't get you off my mind. Now you could make me feel so good. I know you would if you only could. Well, won't you say yes? Don't you say no? Playing golf, and I know we've got some golfers in here tonight because I saw them at the golf lecture. And I play all through the winter in England, right through the year. Sunday morning with the boys down at the golf club. Get up at 6, golf club at 7, big mug of hot coffee, couple of bacon sandwiches with the HP sauce, 18 holes of golf, back to the clubhouse for a shed load of ale, and then back home for the Sunday ritual, the Sunday afternoon roast. And I got up this particular morning, and the wife said, "Where are you going?" I said, "You know where I'm going. It's 6 o'clock Sunday morning. Golf with the boys." She said, "Have you looked out of the window?" I said, "No." She said, "There's 6 inches of snow out there." I said, "That won't deter us. We'll be there through hell and high water, the boys and me. I'll see you later." So I go down to the golf club. The golf club's in darkness. The greens are roped off. The car park's locked up. There's not a soul in sight. So I'm feeling very, very sorry for myself and very embarrassed, because now I know I've got to go back home and face the music. So driving back home, I'm thinking strategy. I thought about it. I freewheel down the drive, close the door of the car very softly, key in the lock very quietly into the house, and I get undressed downstairs, starkers, and I creep up the stairs into the bedroom. The wife's still in bed, facing the window. I pull back the duvet, and I creep into bed next to her, and I snuggle up to her, spoon fashion as you do, and I whispered in her ear. I said, "It's absolutely Baltic out there." She said, "Yeah, and that silly bugger's out golfing." Did. One of the joys of coming back to Australia every year now, having lived here for a lengthy spell, is the fact that I get a chance to work with a lot of the big stars that we used to work with every week, especially in England with the large cabaret clubs and nightclubs, which have all gone now, sadly. And 4 years ago, I did a week in Melbourne at the Hilton Hotel with a guy that's been around forever. And until I worked with him for a full week, I really didn't realize just how talented he really, really was. A great singer, fabulous piano player, sensational songwriter. And who was it? Neil Sedaka.